Hello, welcome to the TIPEC Virtual Car Show. My name's Matt Gibbons, and this is my Jan21 997 Carrera 4S. Okay, so the car is a 2006 model year. It was first supplied by Porsche Centre of Glasgow in November 2005, and it was actually first registered on November the 25th, which happens to be my wife's birthday, so it was a weird twist of fate there. I purchased the car in September 2017 from Van Rooyen in Warrington, and I actually placed the order for the car on the 11th of September, which is 9/11. So, again, another weird twist of fate.
My car's a standard Carrera 4S, 3.8 litre, 355 brake horsepower, non X51 engine. It's got the 6-speed manual gearbox, which is something I really liked. I didn't particularly fancy having a PDK, or personal preference of course. Exterior colour is midnight blue. Interior colour is ocean blue, but we'll talk more about that later because some of you may realise that it isn't actually ocean blue. It's running on 19-inch Carrera Classic wheels, 235 profile tyres at the front, 305 at the back. Currently running Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tyres all round, and prior to that I actually had Michelin Cup 2s on it, which were a fantastic tyre, but maybe a little bit too extreme for regular use on the road. Brilliant on track though. Here you will see a list of all the option codes on the car. Pay particular attention to the interior code, as I said, ocean blue, and also the code at the end, 09991, which refers to the exclusive program. More on that later. The interior colour scheme and the exterior colour were things that really drew me to the car in the first place. As you can see, the interior's got the 16-way adaptive sport seats with the Porsche crests. And going back to what I mentioned earlier about the interior colour, the official code on all the build sheets and option codes is ocean blue. And it's always been a bit of a mystery as to me why the seats and door cards and other aspects of the interior are not ocean blue. And it's only this week, in sort of preparing for this, that I've made some inquiries with Porsche Centre in Glasgow about the original order for the car. And it turns out the original owner who ordered the car in the first place ordered it under the exclusive program, so that meant he could play around with some of the standard options, I guess. And so there were a number of Z code options, which meant he could choose leather colour of choice for certain aspects of the interior. So the seats, door cards, under the dash and so forth were all specified with magnolia leather. So if you speak to Porsche Club GB or get the official sort of build certificate from Porsche, it just refers to ocean blue. So I was a little bit concerned perhaps that the interior had been changed at some point during the car's life, but I've found out this week, much to my relief, that it's all original and was specified by the original owner. Some of the other interesting options on the car are the painted centre console to match the exterior colour, also the leather leather-bound steering column, which is quite unusual to see, I think. And also the sports steering wheel, which I had recovered last year by Voile steering wheels, which has made a massive difference. And then the other option is the tilt slide sunroof, which again I don't think you see that often, and I don't believe it appears anywhere on the option codes, so I'm guessing it's another one of the exclusive program Z options that the original owner chose. In terms of work done to the car since I've owned it, it's always been regularly serviced, and it has an oil change every year regardless. Work's generally carried out by Unique Porsche in Bolton, who do a great job. But when I first bought the car, I took it to Ninemeister in Warrington. I wasn't aware of Unique at the time, and they removed all the under trays, gave it a full steam clean, and wax oiled everything before replacing the under trays, once it all dried obviously, which was great from a sort of peace of mind point of view. I also had all the wheels refurbished by Demon Wheels from Bamber Bridge. As you can see, they were in a bit of a state on the inside. The outside faces weren't too bad, but the results of the refurbishment were fantastic. I've also fitted a set of Zunsport grills to the front bumper to stop leaves getting in and potential damage to radiators and such like. I also spent a bit of time not long after getting the car removing the centre console to adjust the gear linkage, just to satisfy myself that all that was as it should be, which did make a difference. Big job, but was worth doing. And a bit of a sort of not on the car, but I also upgraded, if that's the right word, the key fobs. The original key fobs were in a bit of a state, all cracked and smashed and held together by tape. So I purchased some replacement ones from eBay, and with a bit of transplant surgery managed to transfer the transponders and actual key parts over to the new fobs, complete with Porsche crests, and again they look a lot smarter than the original ones. So perhaps the biggest job, project, investigation, whatever you want to call it, that I've done is to try and find the squeal. So on one of my road trips down to the Monaco Yacht Show, which I'll talk about later, the car developed a squeal which sounded very much like a drive belt slipping, and it always did it on the overrun around about 4,500 revs, and didn't do it all the time but quite consistently. So we started looking into this when I got back from the trip. So we started by replacing the sort of obvious stuff like the idler pulleys and the drive belt. Didn't make any difference. So the car was at 50-something thousand miles by this point, so then we started to think, well, is it the water pump? So we replaced the water pump, and while we were in there we replaced the tandem oil pump as well. Didn't make a difference, the squeal was still there. So the last thing I tried was to replace the free wheel pulley on the alternator. Didn't make any difference, still had the squeal. And so this is sort of over the course of a number of months now. I eventually took the car back to Unique and asked them just to look at it again when it was having one of its regular services, and they eventually found the problem, which turned out to be a cracked exhaust bracket. So 20 quid's worth of welding later and the squeal was gone. So I guess it's a bit disappointing having to replace all the other stuff first, but it's stuff that would have needed doing at some point. At least I know it's all in good shape now. More recently, so last year at some point, I had to replace the full exhaust system. One of the back boxes had failed, and I've always been quite keen to keep the car as original as possible. So I contacted Adam Calvert at OPC Bolton to see what we could do. And thankfully, Adam's a very knowledgeable guy, and he knew that there was a Porsche accessory kit available, which had all the components of the sports exhaust required if you wanted to retrofit the sports exhaust system to a non-sports exhaust vehicle, and that included the back boxes, the bolts, the brackets, even new tailpipes and all the rest of it. And that was actually £300 to £400 cheaper than buying the individual parts that I needed just to replace the back boxes. So obviously that's what we did, and the guys at Uni fitted it for me. Made a great difference. While we were there, we also replaced the engine mounts as well because of the age of the car and the mileage it had done with Porsche originals. And we also did a full geo setup on the car, which also made a big difference. But at some point in the future, I plan to do a suspension refresh as well, shock absorbers, springs, and any bushes that might need doing, because that's something I think at this mileage and this age will probably need doing. Of course, owning a Porsche of any kind really is all about the driving experience, and I've been very fortunate over the last couple of years, sadly not last year due to obvious reasons, to take part in a 5-day driving tour from the UK down to Monaco for the Monaco Yacht Show. As part of my work and my business, I attend the Monaco Yacht Show most years. So with a number of yacht designer friends and colleagues, they'd done this a few years prior, and it was a professionally planned trip. A driving tour company put together a package of roads and an itinerary for the 5 days. It included hotels and all ferries, everything. Every car on the tour, which was kind of up to 20 cars, got a pre-programmed sat-nav, two-way radios, a full booklet, an itinerary for the trip. And it really was fantastic because we spent 5 days travelling south through France and then jumping across the border between France and Spain over the mountains and some fantastic driving roads. And it really was a wonderful experience. It's something I'll always really enjoy, and hopefully we'll get the chance to do again at some point. COVID notwithstanding, but we'll see what happens. But here's a little clip of some of the driving we did, just to give you a taste of the roads that we enjoyed. Going on track days is also something I enjoy doing very much. I think it's probably the best way to enjoy your car kind of to the max, or almost to the max, in safe conditions really. Unfortunately, I've only really done Alton Park, partly because it's very close to where I live, and partly because the other track days I had booked last year all got cancelled, again for obvious reasons. I'd really like to do Anglesey and did have two trips booked there, but they both got cancelled. But yeah, it's a fantastic experience. The first time I did Alton Park in my 911, I actually booked the services of an instructor for the day, and I have to say it's the best money I've ever spent, because he really encouraged me to explore the limits of the car. He knew Porsches very well and knew what they were capable of. And he also, he realised what I was capable of, so I was certainly going around the track a lot quicker and a lot safer and on much better lines by the end of the day than I was at the beginning. So I'd certainly encourage anybody who's doing track days in the future to book some tuition. It's well worth it. And to give you a flavour and to perhaps finish off, here's a lap of Alton Park from the Porsche RS track day last year, which happened just before COVID hit. We pick up the action just before I enter into quite an interesting four-wheel drift around Lodge Corner. Enjoy.
That's my 997 C4S. Hope you've enjoyed watching, and thanks for your time. Bye for now.